Ladies and gentlemen, it's the CBSI Bolo Show!
Greetings, friend. Greetings. Now, are you in desperate or dire need of comic book and pop culture related content? If so, you've come to the right place, yes, because Simpleman's Comics got everything you need. Everything you could ever desire, all the comic book stuff, all the pop culture stuff, right here in this blessed YouTube channel. Yes, you've come to the right place. Yes, you have. Simpleman's Comics. It's for you. It's for you.
Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Brian with Simpleman's Comics, and this is the Thursday night CBSI Bolo Show, coming to you live every Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern. So, I want to welcome everyone. We got people rolling into the chat right now. I also want to welcome my coughing co-host, Jack DeMeo, aka Mr. Bolo. Last week he was Taserface, but this week we got the real Jack DeMeo, and we want to welcome him here tonight.
Yes, well, the real Jack DeMeo, please stand up. As Brian said, I am Jack DeMeo, a.k.a. Mr. Bolo. Appreciate being here again, Simpleman's Comics YouTube family, CBSI Nation. What's up to everybody watching us live? Shout out to everybody checking out the audio podcast. Again, for anybody who's not aware, available on Stitcher, iTunes, everywhere you get your podcast. So happy to be here, talk about New Comic Book Day. We actually have a really good list, really good stuff to talk about. Had to minimize the font to make the list fit this week.
Right. Yes. So we have a great list. Light on the first appearance, but that's good because we got heavy reader buzz and heavy variant buzz. But before we get into that, a couple announcements. Like Jack had said, we do have an audio version of the show, CBSI Comic Book Bolo Podcast. You can find us on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher. One thing I want to say, we're not only putting this show on there, but the Indie Spotlight show that we've been doing is on there. And our new weekly hot cold list, you can find the audio version of that on the podcast as well. So, real quick, as people are rolling into the chat, make sure to let us know video issues, audio issues, how we looking out there. And if you could, share this video out to your friends, because as many people as we can get into this live chat and have a great conversation, the better it'll be for everyone. With that being said, as always, this show is sponsored, and it's sponsored by Nick Dwortman at slabbedheroes.com. If you want modern CGC 9/8s guaranteed at a great price, make sure you check out slabbedheroes.com. So, one other thing, as we announced last week, we had a giveaway, which is for this CGC 9/8 Venom Annual number 1 Bill Sienkiewicz variant. Right, Jack?
Oh, yeah, absolutely a gorgeous variant. A real Sienkiewicz kind of modern classic that's kind of flying under the radar a bit. Somebody's going to get for free in a 9/8, a great kind of piece to hold for a period of time.
Right. So we were going to announce that tonight, but we actually decided it would be best if this would be held off till like the end of summer because it's that great. So we're going to hold this off probably till about August. I'm just kidding. Don't riot on us. We're going to announce. We're not even going to make you wait till the end of the show. We're going to announce the winner. White now.
White now.
Once I learn how to speak. But, so the winner of this 9/8 Venom Annual number 1 is, okay, so just so you know, everyone that commented, we put them all into a list, put that list into random.org, randomized, rolled the virtual dice, rolled the dice 6 times, and on the 6th roll, whoever's name was at the top of the list is the winner. So with that being said, let's go ahead and announce the winner for this, and it is Sarah Hymo. I hope I pronounced your last name right, because everyone knows I am the butcher of names.
Oh, yes, we are notorious for that.
So, congratulations, Sarah Hymo. If you can email me at simplemanscomics@gmail.com, email me your address. I will forward it on to Nick Dwortman from Slabbed Heroes, and he will get that book out to you. He has the book. He's the guardian of the book. We're the guardians of the Bolo, but he will ship that out. And once again, congratulations. And thank you everyone that commented, because there were some great comments in there. Really good covers. Some people mentioned covers that I either had forgotten about or weren't aware of. I think I followed Jack when saying my favorite Bill Sienkiewicz cover is, of course, the original Transformers cover, which is what I think you had said as well, right?
Definitely, yeah. I mean, that for me, that was I think the first time I was really exposed to his art. That was a cover that was iconic for me since I was a kid, and it was when I kind of really got serious about comics and trying to figure out who did this cover, that cover. That was one that struck me. But I agree with what you said. I went through those comments multiple times during the week as comments were flooding in, and saw different kind of covers that I wasn't per se familiar with, and would look up, and I was stunned at how many covers. I was like, man, I gotta add that to the PC. I gotta add that to the PC. So this was a fun contest. I loved getting you guys' input on covers, and I definitely think there's a piece of content surrounded that, because it's obvious that people love Bill Sienkiewicz art. I think that there's definitely a long-term market for it, so we'll have to do something with that at some point.
Right. And so people rolling in the chat. I'm just gonna say Michael because, like I said, I'm the butcher of names. He put in there. He's been following us for the last 3 months with the added content. We're kicking butt. So kudos to that. Yeah, we've kind of had a surge of content going on the channel lately, but that's not just to me. Jack's been helping out. We've had the Indie Spotlight guys helping out. We've had the contributors from comicbookinvest.com with the hot and cold list. So it's been busy, but definitely had help. So it's a great team effort, and definitely appreciate comments like that. So,
absolutely. And this is just the beginning too, guys. I mean, you're going to see so much more content continuing to flow in to the Simpleman's Comics YouTube channel. I think that at this point, we were listening to you guys. We want to provide you guys the content that you want. We tried to listen. I mean, really, the hot cold list was born out of that. It was born out of listening to you guys love talking about market downturns, that not enough people are talking about it. And it really inspired me to kind of cook something up with Brian that we feel like delivers a great product. And so we're gonna have more micro content. If you haven't checked out our small short videos, be sure to check that out. And Brian is absolutely killing it from an editing and graphic perspective, just murdering video after video after video. Some of the best in YouTube in comics. I have no problem saying it. Simpleman's Comics is coming for the throne.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely been, if I'm not at my day job, it seems like I've been in a computer either editing or something like that. But this is why we do it, especially shows like this and all the other content we're putting out. And definitely the comments that you guys are putting with positive feedback. Even if it's constructive criticism, it's all useful. So we appreciate everyone for that. Speaking of that hot and cold list, so we live premiered the new list for this week last night, right? And it's going to premiere every week, Wednesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern.
Absolutely.
You want to talk a little bit more about this list, Jack?
Yeah. So this is something I'm very proud of. It's something that kind of, we kind of cooked up, Brian and I, through messaging, and kind of developed and kind of grew into something I hoped to be able to develop into an entertaining comics kind of show, and also showcase a lot of people that I think are extremely talented people who I don't think yet the world has, and the comics community has yet gotten a chance to fully see in their own, especially in video, especially the YouTube comic community. So we were able to come up with the concept of this hot and cold list. But again, Brian and I are guardians of it. We take a step back. We like to be the ones who are here talking to you guys and communicating to you guys, but we took the talented people from comicbookinvest.com, and there are so many talented people within the CBSI community, and we took these talented writers, gave them kind of a spotlight, allowed them, they picked their own picks, that we're not sitting here editing their picks, we're not giving them ideas, it's not a list that's ordered. It's them letting us know from their perspective as speculators what they view as hot and what they view as cold. And we're not talking just specific books. We're not talking, you see the graphic and you may see Edge of Spider-Verse #2, but we're not talking Edge of Spider-Verse #2. We're talking larger picture. We're talking Into the Spider-Verse spec books in general. And that comes from Tim Walker, who is a guy who, if you follow me, let me tell you something. I learned so much from Tim Walker. So much of my strategy, as far as I talk about IDW incentives and books like that, and those books being my focus, I got that. I have no problem saying that. I got that coming up, paying attention to what Tim Walker does. So we wanted to bring that. You get to see incredibly funny individuals like Topher S., who brought you The Masked Speculator in week 1. And in week 2 brought you FOMO the Puppet, the most ridiculously outlandish yet hysterically funny a character I've seen. And again, we're on the channel. We have a speculating puppet on the show, so I think it's something that you'll enjoy. It's something that gives you a different flavor for these different people. And it's going to introduce you to columns you may not be checking out. So you get a chance to see Peter Renna talk about dollar bin digging. And if you're not checking out that column on comicbookinvest.com, you're missing out. You get to see Andy talk, I almost said Andy Samberg, Andy Tomberlin talk about indie comics and what trends are happening. And this is a guy who has his finger on the pulse. So if you're not reading the Indie Spotlight series article, you're missing out. You get to hear Dan Piercy, a guy who is heavy into reading and reading reviews and cover art, talk about what is moving him and what is pushing him in different directions. And I so many other guys that if I named it would take up another 10 minutes, but it's absolutely, I think, as far as content we've developed, one of the highest quality, best out the gate, and it's like everything else, it's gonna get better. The Bolo Show, we've developed it every week. The Hot Cold List, we're gonna develop every week, and we're gonna bring in some guests. You're gonna see some guests. So you've already seen from a little bit outside of CBSI, kind of a CBSI member, but he doesn't write for comicbookinvest.com. You see Mighty Mel V from the Mighty Mel V YouTube channel. Definitely a friend of the show, but both Brian and I, we respect him as a speculator. He's got some great opinions, so we wanted to bring him in the show and have his voice be heard. And there will be other voices out there. You never know, guys. So when you're watching the Hot Cold video, let us know in the comment section what you think is hot, what you think is cold. We may use some of those comments in the show. You never know. We may reach out to you to be a guest, a contributor on the list one week. So we want the community involvement just like we want with the Bolo list. So as you can tell, I've rambled, but I'm very proud of that show. I think those guys are killing it. And I definitely think you guys should be checking it out.
Right. Yeah, and he mentioned Mighty Mel V. Mel's been with CBSI. We all came from the underbelly of Google Plus. But
the dirty.
Yeah, so big shout out to Mel. We mentioned the Indie Spotlight series in the show. Also, if you guys aren't aware, recently this past Tuesday we premiered the interview we had with the VP of Marketing, Arun Singh from Boom Studios. We've kind of already summarized it, but definitely check that out. We talked some great topics. We talked about Buffy the Vampire Slayer. We talked about Bone Parish. We talked about Power Rangers. We talked about WWE, Faithless, all of that. We've broken it up also into smaller digestible chunks because so much information, it did run, and it's well worth the time that we spent on it. But we realized viewers want to digest that in smaller doses, so we've been cutting that video up and putting it on the channel as well. So a huge shout out to Andy Tomberlin, who writes the Indie Spotlight article. I will say in the Hot and Cold List video that was mentioned previously, if you go into that video, in the description of that video, every contributor I have links to their columns on comicbookinvest.com site. So if you want to check out the articles they write, definitely check out the description of the Hot and Cold List. Anything else you want to say about that Boom interview, Jack?
This, be on the lookout for future interviews. We've got a lot kind of coming up with the interviews. The Arun Boom interview is so value packed. I also think it's an entertaining interview, but like Brian said, there's so many bolos. One of the big news today within the comic book community was Bone Parish. There was a lot of talk going around the various speculation communities, apps, and whatnot about Bone Parish. But I'll tell you what, the first place that you ever heard Bone Parish, the possibility of it being optioned, was right on the Indie Spotlight series show, straight from Arun's mouth, the VP of marketing for Boom Studios. So there's so much value in that show as a speculator. And check out the micro content, like Brian said, if you don't want to sit through the 2 hours. Be on the lookout. We've got one coming up with an IDW creative team. We've got one coming up with Scout Comics. We've got one coming up with Vault Comics. And there's going to be so much information packed into that. So definitely be on the lookout for that. They are coming soon. And again, it's part of our blitz of content hitting the Simpleman's Comics YouTube channel.
Right. So that's it for announcements. Now we're going to roll into last week's weekly rewind or recap of the Bolo list from last week. And not a whole lot of market movement, right, from what we've seen. Of course, the big mover is the Marvel Tales Iron Man, Jim Bartel Virgin variant. We've seen listings for $240 to $300, but we're seeing recently sold listings for about roughly about 100, 110, 80. One was for 200, but best offer accepted. But
All right, and this is the typical thing. I think this book has gone the route of most Jen Bartel variants, where speculators are used to those initial first week kind of boom in the sales. But again, we talked about it, that $200 buy-in for retailers. And then you see the drop. So while this may be going still over ratio, it's going under cost for most retailers. So this is not really, wasn't really a profitable book all in all.
And next, for the recap, last week we had Dark Horse, last stop on the red line, as I'm about to call
Yes.
it. And this one we're seeing listings between $7 to $12, and sold is roughly around the same, between $6 and $10. So not huge movements, but it is moving for double cover or a little bit more. So I think that's good. And this is definitely one that you might want to, I think, long down the road, especially with that new first look deal. You never know. But I enjoyed the story. I read the first issue, and I thought it was definitely looking forward to picking up the next one.
Here's a quick question for you. What, do you think that this book would be selling for the prices it's selling had the first look deal not been announced the week of this book's release? Do you think this book is selling purely on the reader buzz, or does that because I think speculators, they kind of chose this book this week.
Right. I think it definitely helped. Nothing to take away from the merit of this book, because this book is definitely worth reading and definitely worth picking up. But I don't think it would have caught on, would have gotten double cover as quick as it did without that Netflix news and people becoming more aware of Dark Horse.
Right. I would agree with that. I think it was great timing for this book. At the same point, I think that those who have read it, I haven't read it yet, but those who have read it have said that it's a great read. So I think that the quality backs up the hype.
Right. And of course, last, for the recap from last week, we discussed this Aberrant Season 2, number 2 variant. This was the Billy Ripken heir that everyone's aware of. And this one is selling for cover, but the thing I noticed about this is there's only like 2 listings I've found on eBay right now. So, right. Yeah, it's not moving, it's not up there in price, but there's not very many listed on eBay. That's, read what you will from that, but it's worth noting just in case.
And again, that's the world I play in as a speculator. Those are the books that I like. I'm the type of speculator who looks and says, oh, there's 2 listed, I'll buy them both for cover price. And then now there's none listed. And now I can set my price. And whether or not somebody wants to pay that or not, you don't know, but that's what the open market is.
Right. So I will let you know that the 2 that are listed aren't actually cover price. They're actually kind of high. Well, take what you will. $13.50 and $8.95 is what I saw the listings for.
Well, that lets you know something. So I think this book is going to be trending upward, and as it dries up, who knows what that price can. It's all going to be what's the demand for it.
Right. And the sale that I saw sold 3 days after release, May 18th, for $3.99. So. So there you have it. There's our weekly rewind from last week, and we are gonna start the Bolo list for this week. The main event, as you would say.
Yes. Absolutely.
As you can see, I actually fixed the date on the graphic this week, so it's no longer April whatever. For those that are watching for the first time, the Bolo list is the Be on the Lookout list that Jack creates. It's posted on Instagram Tuesday nights, early Wednesday morning. And then from there, we also post it across social media. He writes an article for it with a bunch of additional bolos to keep an eye out for. That's on comicbookinvest.com. And then I also post the list on Facebook for CBSI and my YouTube community. And then Jack, of course, shares out an AKA Mr. Bolo and CBSI. Basically, social blanket, Twitter, everywhere.
Yes, and again, we appreciate all of you out there who are grabbing it on IG, using the repost app, showing it off. Again, trust me, we see that. We appreciate it. We appreciate the Bolo Nation, all those followers, all those people who are part of our, I don't want to say followers, that's a bad term, part of our community who are out there spreading the word. We appreciate that because, again, we haven't paid $1 for advertising. This show, everything we've done with Simpleman's, everything we've done with CBSI has been built through word of mouth, has been built through building this community and of developing the culture. So we appreciate that. We appreciate all you guys' effort.
Right. So before we roll into the first appearances again, I just want to get some shout outs to people in the chat. Andy King's in there. We got Joshua Vincent, Fat Dad Comics. Sounds like I could be AKA Fat Dad Comics. But Comic Crypto Shock, Downright Nerdy Podcast, Luis Ramirez, Michael, I'm going to give a shot. Michael Laranjo, but I probably just killed it. My apologies. So yeah, we got great people coming to chat. Peter Reyna, Brian Atkins. Sorry, go again?
You said we got Ben C in the chat, CBSI owner.
Yes. So welcome. We continue to get people rolling in, so it's great to see everyone in here. We're going to go right now into the first appearances of the week. Short, sweet. We had 2 issues on there. A lot of people were talking about Miles Morales, Spider-Man number 6. First appearance of Starling. That's debatable. You have to it's not to that tier, but
I hesitate to put a book on the list that I put it on the list the last time. So it's like somebody brought up that we should delineate between cameo and first full on the list. The problem with that is that's not my decision to make.
And it's not completely defined.
Right. The market kind of takes time to decide that. There's no set rules for it. So I don't know how to do that. I'm still trying to figure out how to do this, how to properly, should I just throw, and maybe you guys can let us know in the comments, like in a situation like this, should I just throw Miles Morales number 6 on the list? I mean, I knew about it before the list came out. Should I just throw it on the list and include it as a first appearance? Or, again, we've already directed you to buy the previous one or to at least take a look at the previous one as a first appearance. Do you want to see books kind of show up more than once as first appearances, or is that a problem? So let us know in the comments. Let us know. My take on first appearances, the first time a character appears, if it's a new character, I want to make sure you guys know about it. So we let you know last month about it. Do you want to know again? Is that something you want to be notified about? Let us know.
Right. So rolling into first appearances of this week, the first one we have is War of the Realms, New Agents of Atlas number 2.
Yes, Brian, you and I did some talking about this one today. You actually sent me a link to an article from the Associated Press. So this is one of those things that's really funny. We've talked about what makes a comic pop. This book could have been the long-term play of the week, easily. Honestly, I had it penciled in there earlier in the week. There was just it had so much buzz. It really isn't a true long-term play, because if you look at sales right now, issue number 2 cover A is selling for about $12.99. The most recent sale of that 125 Ron Lim variant is $125. You have the first appearance of the Swordmaster, who of course, yes, appeared on covers of issue number 1. But as we know, again, the market decides what a first appearance is. I'm not going to make that call. But I will say in the past, the market hasn't really respected cover appearances as first appearances. Ask Rob Liefeld about that. So it's one of those things where this is probably the first appearance of Swordmaster as a legit first appearance. Again, we don't know what this character is going to develop into, but we know a miniseries is already coming from Swordmaster in July. So that gives real credence to this character. I love it from that perspective alone. I look everything. If you go again, we have micro content on the channel. If you didn't watch last week's episode and you don't want to go fast forward or whatever, check out the long-term play video where I talk about, if it wasn't from last week, it was from a couple weeks ago, New Agents of Atlas number 1. You can take that and copy and paste that here about the value of this book. It's a first appearance that's going to last for a long time, and that's going to have play for a long time because it looks like Marvel's invested. And it really doesn't matter how much Brian and I pontificate about this book, and we tell you, oh, you should buy this book. We think there's value in it, or this, that, and the third. It's the same way we got a lot of heat for Naomi. We have some influence within the community, within the market. People listen to us. But at the same point, we can't do anything to pop a book like an Associated Press article or any sort of mainstream news. So when you look at books in the past like Naomi, who got attention from Oprah, when you look at Naomi, who got so much mainstream, Riri Williams got a lot of mainstream media attention. So when that happens, people who only casually collect comic books or don't collect at all jump on board. Now, sometimes that can be bad, Death of Superman, but a lot of times it equals profits for speculators. And right now, I think there's going to be a lot of profit in New Agents of Atlas. I would look for that Swordmaster and that Arrow 1 in 25 variant from the number ones to go for good money. I think there's going to be demand there.
Right. So yeah, you're definitely seeing sales, and as you mentioned, this is the hot book, and as we've mentioned before, this book is on the list in a couple categories, but we're addressing it here. We will address it in the variant buzz because we're talking about just different cover, but yeah. So if you see us skip over it from the Bolo list, that's why, because mentioning the book a couple times kind of beats a dead horse. But
mentioning that Associated Press article from Brian sent me that article from today. If you look at sales on eBay, it seems like since that article hit today, since it has spread again, Associated Press spreads to a lot of different local media and things like that, other media sources. Since that's hit, prices have almost like doubled in the day. So look for this book, that 125 Ron Lim. If you can get your hands on that, even at double ratio, that book's going 125 and it's going up. It's got a rocket on it.
Right. So next for the first appearances this week is Terrific's number 16, first appearance of Pixel.
Yeah, so this is interesting. I try to find a way to explain. It's kind of like a digital character.
Yeah.
It's try to find a way to explain this character. I think I'll go ahead and give a shout out. I think a key collector app called it a digital deity. I think that's probably the best description of the character.
Yeah, it reminded me of that game Portal.
Yeah.
And it kept coming in when you play the game and coming in and talk to you, and then but yeah.
Yeah, so what's interesting about the Terrifics is we've had the Terrifics on this first appearance list several times. Made the Reader Buzz list, by the way, a couple times. And one time a cover was so impressive that it ended up making the list just based on cover art alone with their Beatles homage. But the Terrifics has introduced several first appearances. Now, again, this is a series that I don't think a ton of people are reading. I'm not necessarily advocating every first appearance as having crazy value. I'm just going to note something I'm noticing, that this series introduced a lot of new characters. And what these new characters will end up doing, it could be nothing. But all it takes is a Donny Cates signing with DC, which, by the way, that'll happen one day, maybe 20 years from now, but he's going to play in that sandbox eventually. But all it takes is a person like that, or signing with DC, and then really mining into that kind of back characters and go, what characters can I play with? Who can I use that hasn't really gotten that attention? There's a lot of first appearances in this Terrifics run that are probably going to be in dollar bins. So it's cheap speculation. And that's something to keep an eye on.
Right. So that's going to wrap up our first appearance this week. I did try to read the Terrifics. It's not terrific for me. It's not my ballpark. It was kind of, but it was cool. It's kind of throwback to Gauntlet video game and everything like that. But first appearance, and that's why we put it on here, because it might not be my cup of tea, but it might be yours.
Right. That's again, I advocate this is like a summer dollar box purchase. I'm not saying go run out and grab it off the shelf, $3.99 or whatever.
Right. So with that being said, that wraps up the first appearance for the week. We're going to roll right into the Reader Buzz. And this week we had Honor and Curse number 4. We reached the end of the first chapter of Knights of the Golden Sun. Road of Bones, Detective Comics, of course, Agents of Atlas again, Moon Girl, and Shiri. So we're going to start it off right now. We're just going to go right into Honor and Curse number 4. I actually just got to read it today, and a lot of people, I don't hear the amount of buzz I do that you hear for Knights of the Golden Sun as I do for Honor and Curse, and I think it's really misplaced, because this book has been phenomenal, and number 4 itself, classic. It's like, dude, if Mulan had like freaking magic powers and like freaking Kung Fu Panda Mulan, and then just started kicking ass. Great story. I actually read the advanced issue for number 5. Number 5 gets even better. So, Honor and Curse number 4, Jack, what are your thoughts?
First thing is, I'll say, absolute standout cover. whether or not you're a fan of the art style or not, you have to admit that cover stands out on a shelf.
Right, and that's
Immediately
Nicholas Salamanca.
right,
Right.
who does amazing covers for Honor and Curse. Mauricio Villarreal with Knights of the Golden Sun, and who did our Honor and Curse variant. He's gotten a lot of attention, but I think I'm not even going to try to pronounce who you just said, but has done a amazing job with these Honor and Curse covers. I agree with Brian said that the buzz isn't bigger for Honor and Curse within the speculation community. But I'll note that if you think back again to plug the Indie Spotlight series show to our premiere episode with Chris Sanchez mentioned that sales for Honor and Curse were brisker, they were stronger, and there was a higher demand for Honor and Curse upon initial release than there was Knights of the Golden Sun. I think people have almost what hurt Honor and Curse is releasing kind of simultaneously with Knights of the Golden Sun, because speculators' focus was on that. But if you've read the two stories and you look at them, which one of the two feels more adaptable to you? I love Knights of the Golden Sun. I'm not saying anything bad about that. I'm just saying Honor and Curse, for a speculator, actually is probably a better play. Chris also hinted that there's some Hollywood talk going on. He couldn't really go into it, but he just kind of dropped that hint out there. And, myself, Brian, Andy, we don't know anything. I'll tell you that right now. We don't know anything. But we have had heavy discussions between us about what could be the play from Mad Cave. And you just got to look at it with kind of an intelligent eye. If Mad Cave was going to do a deal with Hollywood, it would probably be Honor and Curse. It's been strongly reviewed. I mean, incredibly strongly reviewed. It plays onto the movie screen. The story is kind of one of those stories that is kind of hot in Hollywood, that style. They're looking for that kind of stuff. So I think Honor and Curse is a major sleeper from a speculation perspective. But it's on the reader buzz section because exactly what Brian said. People who read this book love this book.
Right. So with that, speaking of Knights of the Golden Sun, issue number 7 came out this week, which wraps up the first. They're doing a trilogy for this, right? So it wraps up the first arc for the trilogy. As we mentioned, Nicholas Salamanca on the art for Honor and Curse, Mauricio Villarreal for Knights of the Golden Sun, both fantastic artists. Both books written by Mark London, fantastic. There I go again. I like to use the word fantastic, but
Mr. Fantastic.
Yeah. So
yeah, if anybody ever does fan art for this, that's what we need. We need Brian as Mr. Fantastic.
But what are your thoughts, Knights of the Golden Sun? I haven't had a chance to read this issue yet. I do have it picked up though.
I haven't had a chance to read it yet either, but I can't wait to read it. And this was maybe my most anticipated read of the week, something that I was really looking forward to. This is a story honestly, it's not my type of story, so I didn't think I would enjoy it. Brian and Andy kind of hammered me down on this one, just constantly talking about it. Again, I'm a guy who everybody's gonna hate me for this. Brian knows this. I've never seen an episode of Game of Thrones. I'm not into the kind of medieval. I call it old timey, but those kind of like period piece type things, the fantasy element.
Let me tell you, if you're gonna start with season 8, and then go backwards, because then you'll just get more excited instead of let down when you get to the end.
I keep telling Brian, eventually I'm gonna watch it, but so I didn't think I would like this series, and when the other guys were reading, I think it was issue 3. I finally read issue 1. And actually, the first time I ever read this book, I read the CBSI variant that I got as a comp copy. That was the first thing that I read. The book, literally the book on the wall behind me. And I from the first time I read the first book, I was hooked. This book has really defined reader buzz. I think out of 7 issues, it's probably been in the reader buzz category 5 times. I'd love to go back and look and actually see that. But you look at how many of these issues have become $10 to $15 books, the majority of them, probably the same ratio. And I think that I trust Mark London to wrap this story up better than apparently you guys feel about Game of Thrones. And while, yes, it's a trilogy, this kind of will complete this story, this arc. And, I'm really excited to read this book. I think Mark London, he's known as the owner of Mad Cave, the founder of Mad Cave, but man, is this guy a talented writer. The way he brings you into a story. I've really enjoyed Knights of the son and honor and curse. I know a lot of people, they gave us heat early on because we produced obviously 2 variants with them. But again, something you will learn. You may doubt us now, but you will learn over time. Whether it's me and Brian through Simpleman's Comics or especially through CBSI, the home base with CBSI owner Ben C, who I can't say enough about. Anything that we do, we're going to do with integrity, and we're going to do with people that we know are bringing quality product. And that's what you saw with these Mark London releases, just absolutely amazing. And I'll go ahead and throw a teaser out. It's probably not the last time you're going to see something with CBSI and Mad Cave, so be on the lookout for that.
Right. So with that being said, we're going to roll right into the next one, and it is Road of Bones #1. This is another book that I've picked up and haven't had to read yet, but I'm super excited. This takes place in 1953, right, in a Siberian gulag. It's basically escaping it because the gulag's so bad, but when they escape, could be worse on the outside, right?
Right.
Definitely had a lot of reader buzz going into it. I mean, I think just the premise alone gets people excited. But what are your thoughts on this, Jack?
Yes, this was another one. Without giving too many details, I've kind of adjusted a little bit some of my pre-order game. I've got a new kind of strategy and system for pre-orders, and I did not pre-order this book pre-FOC. It was not a book that was on my radar. And actually, Brian put me on this book right before release 2. When I got Brian's copy of the Wednesday Warriors, and I was going to add my parts and kind of do the recap, I read what he said about it, and it was kind of the first time I had read somebody say pitch the book. And I went back, I checked the solicit, and I was kind of like, oh man, I really like this. From the same reason Brian said, the premise alone as a speculator made me say, oh, that's a TV show. And you can doubt that logic. I know I've heard a lot of like the naysayers who say, oh, that's not that. Honestly, I'll just tell you, that's how I speculate on indies these days. Is I look at indies and I say, what can I close my eyes and see a Netflix TV show? And if it's a show, if it's a movie, if I could see it, I'll invest in it. I'm less inclined to invest in an indie book that I sit there and go, well, that would cost $100 million for them to make. And I think I look at this book and go, well, this is a story that could be told, whether movie or TV. And I went and grabbed a few copies. I had to pay a higher rate to do it, but I made sure that I did it. So it's one of those things. That's what we want to do with this show, is give transparency from a speculation perspective. That's how I approach this book. I missed out on it. I would love to know in the comments section, were you guys on top of this book? Because Brian's right. Brian's the first one to put me on it. But then when I started researching into this book, I realized, well, there's some heavy reader buzz on this book.
Right. We got Maximus joining us, resident Transformer guru. But welcome. We got Noah Burke in there. Aaron Pop. One guy I didn't expect to join us. Great friend from Virginia Beach area. So welcome, Aaron, a.k.a. Fub. But
yeah, I got to say, Maximus, talk about Transformers. I pride myself on IDW incentives, and he is the one dude within that category of Transformers will put me to utter shame. His collection is insane.
Yeah. He'd be like, yeah, that's a good one, but really, he didn't upgrade to the Arsenal of the R-Fave 47 side flare shot rifle until he was in the next model, which came out in 1982. That's the level that Maximus is on when it comes to Transformers.
Oh, man, it's a whole nother level.
Yeah. Which everything I just said had nothing to do with Transformers. I was just making a bunch of crap up, but yeah. So next on the Reader Buzz, we had Detective Comics 1004 going into that Arkham Knight, right?
Right. Yeah, I think we get a little origin here. Again, haven't read this book yet. It's a book, I put it on the Wednesday Warriors, is my most excited to read from DC. And again, I think I want to talk about, from this perspective, about the importance of reading, because you and I, when we started our kind of new comic book content program, one of our initial sort of strategies was we wanted to make reading important for speculators. We wanted to show that readers can drive the market, because we were seeing that as a trend. And as Brian and I managed social media, we were seeing, man, reader books are pushing the market. This book may not be a book to speculate on. Origin stories used to be very popular in the early days of comic book collecting. I remember when I was coming up in the 90s, if you were collecting a character, that's what you wanted. You wanted the first appearance, you wanted the second appearance, you wanted the origin story.
Nowadays, second appearances have become less valuable, less important, as more and more first appearances have popped up and become viewed as keys, and origin stories have sort of fallen by the wayside as well. But the importance of an origin story isn't so much the value of the book itself, so much as it is to read and then be able to judge the market on a character. So what I'm looking forward to is reading this issue. And again, if you guys read it already, let us know in the chats what your thoughts are. In really trying to use it as a tool to judge how I view Astrid Arkham as a character. What will be her long-term speculation possibilities within the DC universe? Again, Detective Comics 1000, kind of that last page splash page cameo, is still available everywhere. Midtown just had those covers 60% off on their 60% off sale. And Detective Comics 1001 is available, as well as the lower printed second print. I hate that they just did a red cover for the second print. Shout out to, again, Andy Tomberlin from the Indie Spotlight series, who highlighted as his cold pick on the Hot Cold show, that those kind of color change second prints. We hate those. DC Comics, come on, step your game up. But without a doubt, yeah, for a big two company to just be mailing it in. Look at all, man. I don't get off talking about it. How much money could they have made from a Naomi late printing if they would have changed the cover art? If they would have done some new cover art with Naomi, they would have made a fortune. They missed the boat on that one. But that's the value. That's the play.
Don't hold nothing back, Jack. Let it go. Release.
Yeah, that's why I love the Hot Cold show too, is because talking about cold stuff, there's so much stuff that fires me up that I can't wait to talk about. But I hate those late printings with the same color, and I hate that DC Comics, they've got to be seeing what people are doing in the market. But yeah, so the value of this book, Action Comics 1004, is read it, use it as a tool, and Brian and I constantly advocate the value of reading books used as a speculation tool, not just to look at reader buzz of books that are going to pop, but also of looking at a book and seeing where that character development is going to go. If you're going in blind and you're not reading books and you're just speculating based off of hype, that's where you get caught in that FOMO kind of cycle. So to avoid that FOMO cycle, you've got to be doing your research and making your decisions. So that's what we advocate. I'm not a talking head just telling you what to buy. I'm advocating you to do the work, get in there, and make your own opinion.
Right. I, of course, like that connecting cover from Mark Brooks. Think it pairs well with the 1003, so that's the one that I picked up.
Sleeper. That's a sleeper. I'm a big fan of connecting sets, especially when you can get them cheap. You know, we talk about DC cover bees, but be on the lookout for that Mark Brooks set. I'm also a Mark Brooks fan. I think he's grossly underrated cover artist.
Yep. Not underappreciated, but definitely underrated.
Underrated from a value on the secondary market, kind of Alex Ross-ish.
Next on the Reader Buzz, which is one title that I will come out and say that I absolutely have no love for, but to each their own, and that is Moon Girl Devil Dinosaur number 43. This is the big Mel V title. Loves him some Moon Girl. My buddy Matt, we call him Washington Apple Matt. He's a big Moon Girl fan, but me, not so much.
Valiant Horton, CBSI OG, another one, CBSI writer, extremely talented speculator. He has been at the forefront of Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur since I think issue 1, really letting us know about this book. So yeah, I think there's a first appearance in this book. I'm not 100% sure. Again, let us know in the comments section. I think I did hear some buzz about that. But yeah, this issue sold out at retail, sold out at a lot of large retailers. People have been very bullish on Moon Girl, Devil Dinosaur first appearances. I am, like you, I'm cautious. Because again, I judge top titles based on what is the kind of adaptability of it. You're talking about a dinosaur. So we're looking at expense here. So now, again, the play is probably animated. But no real money on a speculation basis has been made from any sort of animated feature until Into the Spider-Verse. Now, will that start a trend? Could be. Absolutely could be. Could I see an animated Moon Girl Devil Dinosaur be popular? Again, I talk about this all the time. I got 2 daughters. I'm all about this kind of female-driven stuff, especially stuff that my kids can get into. But I don't know. I personally haven't bought into Moon Girl Devil Dinosaur spec beyond issue number 1. I have some issue number 1s. Beyond that, I haven't personally bought into it. But again, some speculators I really respect, like you mentioned, Mel V, Valiant, and I know you talked about your buddy a lot, but some people I really respect have put their money into it. So I can't hate on it, and I can't shy away from it because it may have some legs after all. So that's something to keep an eye out for.
Right. Yeah, I'm not gonna hate on it, but this could be like the next AF-15, and I'm still fine with not being. Not it just doesn't. It's not doesn't appeal to me. But
Right, you can't invest in everything. You can't put your money in everything. So you've got to pick, your horses. And there's always going to be people championing different things. And this is not. I respect it. It's just not where I put my money.
yeah, just like I collect things that everyone books and titles that other people would be like, what the hell? But that's why
I'm the one on the show advocating investing in My Little Pony.
Yeah.
And so I have no problem taking that risk, and I understand that there's a whole contingency of people who would think that that's silly.
Yeah. So, and that's why we always say buy what you like. That way you won't go wrong and be happy with your own collection. So,
Absolutely.
and rounding out the Reader Buzz section this week, we had Shuri number 8.
Sleeper issue right here.
I love both
Amazing.
these covers. I actually like the regular cover more than the battle lines, which has been the opposite for a lot of the books from Marvel lately.
Me too. The battle lines. If you remember back when the Wednesday Warrior article was called the Wednesday One, back when Brian and I first took over the Wednesday One, but the ghost of Adam Lebednik was too strong to continue the Wednesday One, so we had to rebrand. But we initially were really down on Marvel cover Bs because Marvel cover Bs really had gotten real programmy and
the Mike McCone head variant.
Right, and all the action figure variants, and which were great in the beginning, but just an overkill. So we were kind of down on that stuff early on. We were oftentimes that ended up on kind of like that cold area, that loss area. If you were putting money into like even ones with nice art, even books coming up with Adam Hughes or J. Scott Campbell weren't moving the market, and mostly. Marvel, it's your fault because then you create a Virgin variant that only people want the Virgin, and then if you don't create the Virgin variant, you let a store make a Virgin variant, so then it screws everything up. Like that awesome Mike Mayhew Vision and Skull Witch cover that's coming out. That's I think Unknown made a Virgin cover, which will now tank the cover B. I absolutely hate that stuff. That's a lazy store variant. But yeah, as you can tell, I'm fired up tonight. But I think this book is a book where you have the cover B is these battle line variants, and the battle line variants have kind of changed. I was slow. I wasn't feeling them. I didn't want to put them on the list because all Marvel cover Bs were kind of bricking. I didn't want to advocate people to buy them just because I admit the cover art was nice, but the buzz built to a point that they had to be included, so much so that a couple weeks ago we put Marvel battle line variants on the list just in general. Not a specific book, just in general, that they were hot, and that there were several coming out that week. But the importance of this book is the guts of the book. Again, the value of reading. There's a lot of speculation within the MCU of Shuri becoming Black Panther. A lot of people want to see that happen. They've put a lot of money into those issues, that first appearance of Shuri as Black Panther. Will it happen? We don't know. I would bet on it. My guess is it's going to happen, but it's going to happen in a very small circumstance for a short period of time. But in this issue, Shuri becomes Black Panther again. And this is an issue that this Shuri series isn't high printed. It's kind of been overlooked. It's something to keep an eye out for, because I think if Shuri becomes Black Panther, I think this is a $15 book. Yes, it's not the first appearance, and we talked earlier in the episode about second appearances not really holding that water today in the market. But it's a cool modern book, like Brian said, great cover and an important moment. And again, I'm a big guy on SEO tags. When she becomes Black Panther, people are going to go searching the internet for Shuri Black Panther, and when that happens, this book is going to pop up. It's going to pop up in eBay searches, and people are going to be like, well, yeah, if I'm going to grab that first appearance, let me just grab this one. I didn't know about this one. So it's a book to keep an eye out for. It's a good grab and hold.
Right. And that is going to wrap up the Reader Buzz section for tonight, correct?
That is it.
So real quick before we get into the Variant Buzz, we got more people coming in the chat. That guy Frankie, Carl Garcia, Wolf Warner. I will say there's a lot of advocates for Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur in the chat. So
Definitely.
like I said, I don't have anything against the book. It's not my cup of tea. In fact, it's a running joke now when I go to my LCS with my buddy Matt, and he's like, "You gonna pick up that Moon Girl?" And I just shake my head at him. But hey, like I said, nothing against the book. People like it, and they made a good point. Carl Garcia made a good point in the chat. Said it's got a small print run and it's still going, so there's definitely support for the book.
Definitely. It's a lot like Squirrel Girl, which is about to wrap up at issue 50. Yeah. And again, I want to shout out somebody in the chat as well, William Wise, who said he enjoyed Detective 1004. Thinks Astrid can have a strong presence, particularly with her personal relationship with all of the Asylum villains. And again, that take right there, that little blurb is perfect. When you hear that as a speculator, that's what I'm hoping I get when I read this issue. If I feel that when I read it, then I'm telling you that's a character I want to invest in. So I'm trying just to put that on the show. I'm not telling you what to buy. You buy what you want. But Astrid Arkham is a character that I have my eye on. It's a tough first appearance because of the print run on those books, definitely. But it's a character I have my eye on nonetheless.
Respond in the chat. My bad. So.
Oh, you're good. You're good.
With that being said, we are going to roll into the Variant Buzz section this week. And like we said, the Reader Buzz and Variant Buzz, a little bit heavy. So we got Venom 14 Battle Lines. We have Faithless #1 second print and Faithless #2, both erotica variants. Goon 2 variant, which you mentioned earlier. Agents of Atlas, which we kind of talked about, but we'll talk more about the variant. The Marvel Comics Presents #5, which Jack just can't wait to talk about with one of his favorite guys. And of course, one of my favorite, those Mondo style The Savage Shore reprints. And also, we have on there one of our favorite Variant Buzz picks. If you're watching this and you aren't already, please consider subscribing to this channel for fantastic, there I go again, but fantastic comic book and pop culture content. So, rolling into the first on the Variant Buzz section, amazing cover, right? We got the Venom #14 Battle Lines.
I was so mad you picked this book on the cover art for the Wednesday Warrior article. Brian does his picks first, which I like. It lets me kind of strategize against him. But he, every now and again, man, he picks a book that just makes me so mad that he picked, and this was it. I love this cover, and I think it's timely. I think Carnage variants are going to be everywhere. There's no doubt. You're about to see Carnageized variants. You're about to see Carnage everywhere with Absolute Carnage. Having said that, this is such an amazing depiction of Carnage. Again, these Battle Line variants are hot. I think there's going to be value in the Battle Line variants as a set. I think there's going to be a lot of people trying to put together that set. I'm trying to hold off myself from my urges to try to see. I'm an old school baseball card collector, so I like the set build. It gives me a sense of fulfillment. So putting together this set is something that I think a lot of people are going to want to do. I also want to highlight, again, we talk about every now and again, there's a book that kind of flies under the radar a little bit. Be on the lookout for that Diamond Retailer Summit variant for Venom #14. It's the original cover in black and white. Again, yes, it was available at the Diamond Retailer Summit, but it was also available through Diamond to retailers. A lot of retailers don't pay attention to that stuff and don't order those books. I missed out on that book. I did not order that. I gotta get better on top of that type of stuff. But yeah, that book is out there. It's selling pretty well. Looks like it's hitting about $10-15. So be on the lookout for that. Don't pay gouged prices for those books though from your LCS on the day they come out. Those should be cover price. So if you're at your LCS and they're charging you $10, they're trying to tax you a bit. So make your own decision about value and price. But I'm an advocate for cover price books being cover price on release day.
Right. RJ Taylor's asking if you play fantasy football and baseball.
I do. 2 years running, I am in second place fantasy football in the CBSI league. For some reason, man, I crap the bed in the championship game every year. So that is a frustration for me. And I also know that I drive the league nuts because I am notorious for going 8 or 7-6, but then making a run in the playoffs. So So yes, I do, and I haven't played fantasy baseball in a couple years. Fantasy baseball is something that is an addiction. When you get into it, it makes so many changes every day. I'm a huge baseball fan, so I would love to play fantasy baseball again, but it's something that I haven't done in a couple years.
Yeah, don't you have to like change your lineup like every 6 hours?
Oh man, and you gotta pay attention to like weather. You gotta pay attention to like righty versus lefty matchups. And again, I'm an obsessive dude, so when I do something, I try to really do it. So, yeah, so I haven't done it yet, but definitely, I see in the chat, RJ Taylor's throwing out there, getting my leaks, man. I'll get with you, dude, because I'm looking. I'm definitely looking.
Yeah, he's like, well, I know Madison Bumgarner had pizza, and that really gives him a stomach ache, so he's probably not going to pitch too well tonight. But yeah, I used to play fantasy football, and then I had kids, so now I have to sneak away to watch football, or I'm watching it on my laptop. So I don't play fantasy football anymore. But yeah, play like fantasy Adventure Time, or well, my kids are into Tiny Toons right now, so that gives me a happy heart. But, so rolling into the next one, the variant buzz. I'm not showing the actual cover here, but we will show that this was the Faithless #1 second print erotica cover we're going to talk about, right?
Right. So this was a straight up Bolo from Maroon.
Yes.
He told us on the show, he said that this, and again, this is a guy who he knew what the ordering looked like already he knew how many had been ordered from retailers. He knew what the distribution was looking like, and he said what he could say and he didn't say what he couldn't say. But if you read between the lines of what he said, he was basically saying that the book was underordered and that the cover was amazing and that he expects this book to be popular. Speculators are bullish on Faithless in general. Again, Boom has a hit with this book. Brian Azzarello, his writing, he really people looked at the book like, oh, this is another one of those TNA books. This is not a book that, they kind of put it in that Zen Scope category. And you're mislabeling this book by doing that. No disrespect to Zen Scope. This is a book that is written, and the art is done in a specific style. It's very intentional. Yes, it's very sexual. Yes, these covers are shocking. I haven't seen this cover yet. I saw one. I don't know what cover, whether it was that or the other one, but I saw the one with the devil. And wow,
the devil, mama, the devil.
I'll just say wow. So these erotic covers, man. I tell you what, boy, they make a good Christian boy like me kind of go wow, But
yeah, you get the belt. You get the belt caught reading this as a kid.
Right. This is the one you gotta hide from your girlfriend. You don't want her to see. But or maybe you do. I don't know. Different strokes. But it's one of those things you gotta these you have to watch out for because they're low printed. If this series gets optioned, I just have a gut feeling that these erotic variants are going to be the way to go. We've gotten a lot of questions from the community about do you open bags, do you not? That's kind of up to you. It's tough. It's hard because you can't see the art in the bags.
And poly bags tend to sometimes could damage the book, or you can't see if you have a damaged book. But
right, so you don't know. So when you're selling it, you sell it on eBay. You sell it as near mint because it looks near mint in the bag, and then the person gets it. They decide to open it, giant scuff on it, or they put a giant scuff on it by how they open it, and you're gonna end up getting held holding the bag. What I personally, I'll just tell you what I leave them in the bag. That's kind of my philosophy on it. Since I'm buying them to eventually resell, I'm going to let the end consumer make the decision. If you want to go the slabbed route, then yeah, you gotta unbag them.
Yeah, 9/8 poly bag.
yeah, you gotta unbag them if you're going the slabbed route. It's gonna be a tough 9/8 boy. I would love to talk to Nick from Slabbed Heroes and see if he had any luck with any of these, doing any of these 9/8, or if that's something he would even try to get into. Because again, the polybag game is tough. But yeah, I would be on the lookout for this issue #1 second print. I can't pronounce the artist. I've never actually heard of the artist, but the Tula Toy did the first print. And this is absolute. This cover right here, lower printed, kind of under the radar. I think could be a big sleeper hit.
Yeah.
If, and I'll just say when this book gets optioned.
Yeah, and that was another thing that he brought up that kind of changed my point of view on these, because at first I kind of, without hearing his take, I looked at it as kind of how you would see it, right? An erotica variant is kind of trying to sell to different kind of clientele. But then once we sat down and talked to him and how he mentioned why the art is designed that way, and he also mentioned everyone that's doing one of those erotica variants is all female artists that are doing their interpretation of what, so it adds that extra characteristic to it, that integrity to the art.
Right. Well, that's the thing, is it's not, and that's where it's important to mention, like, this is truly high class art. It's hard for me because erotic art still is something.
Yeah. Me, I'm just like boobies.
Right. For me, it still makes me blush. Like, I'm still a kid with that stuff. So it's like, it's hard for me to be all high class when we're talking about, at the end of the day, we're not just talking about nudity. We're talking about extreme sexual situations. So, it's one of those things where, for me, that was my thought. I see Shane Griffith in the chat say that he can't even get his LCS. Well, that was the point. There are certain LCSs that made the decision, I don't want this smut. I don't want this book. Yeah. And they shied away from the book and missed a great boom. It's Boom Studios, but a booming indie book, series they missed out on because they put it in a box of kind of pornography. And I think to an extent, a lot of speculators did that early on. Be on the lookout for this one. It's a real sleeper, and it's getting stronger by the day. I almost want to compare it to Die, as far as like the way that I'm hearing people's like love for the series. But that's a dangerous comparison because Die is so strong. But that tells you how much I like this book as a speculation play and how much I have my eye on it.
Yeah, and one of the future issues has one of these variants by Jenny Friesen, so that's going to be hot, no doubt.
Yeah, definitely. That's issue number 4. Be on the lookout for issue number 4. I think it comes in July, is Jenny Friesen. I think that one's going to be a big one.
Yeah. So, and moving right on, I mean, we kind of said the same thing here, but you also had Faithless number 2. The erotica variant for that come out this week as well.
Right, and I think even this one will get overlooked because it's issue number 2. It's going to take a while for people to understand that they're going to do these erotic variants for each book. So that's something to kind of keep an eye out for. This one's Paul Pope, isn't it, Brian?
No, this one was I forget the artist that did this one.
It's another big name artist.
Vanessa Del Rey.
Vanessa Del Rey, that's a good one. Vanessa Del Rey, who you may see did Knights of the Golden Sun #1 Virgin exclusive variant. Vanessa Del Rey is another major up-and-coming artist. Has done kind of fame through Redlands, the Image series. So that's another one to keep an eye out for.
Right. So we're going to move right on. The next on there was the Goon #2 Alex Ross variant. And this is a big Dan Piercy. Well, I know he mentioned it in his hot picks as well towards the end, but you mentioned it. A lot of people are talking about it. So what do you think about the Goon Alex Ross?
Yeah, same thing as I just said with the Boom #2. I love #2 issues. When there's a good variant for a #2 issue, it tends to get slept on. And I think this book got slept on. There was so much attention behind Eric Powell's Boom, I'm still stuck on Boom. The Goon reboot. There was so much attention on that issue #1. There was that Kevin Nolan variant that kind of didn't do well. There was the Powell cover that did do well. He's going to do these cardstock cover Bs. But he brought in a real heavyweight with Alex Ross. And we're seeing this portrait style that kind of Ben Oliver, I'm going to go ahead and throw it out and say he kind of made this popular, this portrait style. And it's become huge within DC Comics. We've seen so many covers from Middleton that have used this style. And then if you look at the villain variants coming in July, those are all in this portrait style. So this style has been very popular with collectors. And I think Alex Ross Goon cover with Goon getting announced for adaptation via was it Disney is doing it? I think is a major kind of, again, timing play, similar to the Dark Hawk. That's, again, my favorite character. But Dark Horse first look deal. This is a timing play. So this book is selling for $13.99, $15 on eBay already, but it's drying up. There's probably like 6 on eBay right now. So definitely be on the lookout for this one. This is one I had my eye on. This is one I grabbed. Dan Piercy talked about this, like you said, from the reading pile on the hot and cold list. I also think Andy Tomberlin from the Indie Spotlight series mentioned this book as well. So definitely a book to be on the lookout and get small press with Albatross Funny Books. You know, you're not looking at a huge print run here.
Yeah, and it definitely woke Dan Piercy up in the chat. All of a sudden, he just yells out "goon" in there. But
yeah, and then again, R.J. Taylor mentioned there's a first appearance, and I did see that. You know, I'm always skeptical on indie book first appearances because honestly, most indies have a first appearance in every issue. That doesn't always mean anything, but I've heard from the community that this is an important one, so that's something to keep an eye out for.
right. So moving right along in the variant buzz, we're going to talk about the 1 in 25.
That's the regular cover.
Yeah. I put the wrong. Hold on, I was like, that's
Come on,
not the
Brian.
right one. So, man, WTF. We're just going to do this. Yeah, I put the wrong one in there. But,
Yeah.
so the one on the right is, because I was like, wait, that's not. But yeah, thanks for pointing that out, Jack.
Yeah.
You passed the
No
test.
problem. But yeah, Ron Lim did the 125. Ron Lim does mostly cover Bs for Marvel. And he's one of those guys, he's saturated himself a bit. So while he is a very talented artist, has done a lot of covers I really dig. I like that Guardians of the Galaxy #1 variant is one that stands out for me. The most recent Donny Cates run. But he's a guy who gets kind of overlooked a little bit. But this one is a monster. We talked about it earlier, 125, most recent sales, first appearance of Swordmaster. Real solid heat on this book. Going for about half of what the #1 is, but I expect it to continue to trend upward and may kind of start leading in price. I would venture a guess #2 is a much lower printed than #1. And we see all of the mess that's going on with the second print of #1. Amazing cover gets announced, 125 variant virgin for it. Now we're getting store variants for the second print. It's a huge oversaturated mess. I expect to start seeing some #2 announcements very soon as well with Swordmaster on the cover. I have no prior information that that's going to happen, but I know the way these guys think, and that's what I'm seeing happen next.
Right. Never mind.
And shout out to everybody rolling into the chat. I see we keep gotten some new people rolling in. Whether you're coming in late or you've been with us the whole time, we appreciate you guys. And if you're coming in late, no worries, man. We got the replay. The replay will be posted right afterwards, so you can check it out.
So, when you were a kid and you were went to the store and you kind of strayed away from your parents, and you walked up to someone thinking it was your mom and dad, and you start talking to them, and then it turns out that they're not your mom and dad. Well, I kind of had that moment tonight in the chat as an adult, and I owe an apology to Maximus because he's a different Maximus than the one that we were thinking, and I feel like an idiot. So definitely put it in the chat. We really appreciate your support, and sorry for confusing you with someone else.
Yeah, but either way, shout out to you, man. We appreciate you being here. That's funny. We thought you CBSI Maximus.
Yeah. Yeah, the avatar is a lot more smaller to see on the screen right now, but no excuse. My bad. I messed up. So,
I got a
rolling right
question.
into the next one. This is Jack's lovely, can't wait to talk about book.
Yes.
And why is that,
Yeah.
Jack?
Slyfeld, baby. And it's, again, hate on it. Let it rain in. But it's double ratio. It's double ratio the day after release. That's just a fact. And it's pushing towards 125, and it's drying up. Can we attack the artwork? Yeah. I hate the way he poses people in motion. So I really hate Wolverine in this cover.
Yeah, it looks like one of those diving sticks you throw in the pool.
Right. But having said that, man, look at what happened with 4 of Marvel Comics Presents that Sienkiewicz variant. Don't get me wrong. Cover art probably not comparable between the Moon Knight variant and this one, but I saw this one coming. I knew this was going to happen. So this was one I grabbed. I saw it at Ratio. I grabbed. It was kind of sitting there. You guys could have grabbed this one off Midtown, off TFAW. It was really ignored for a long time. But Marvel Comics Presents is not heavily ordered yet. They've got these 1 in 50 variants, and they've been doing them since issue 1. And it's amazing watching that trend. When I saw that Sienkiewicz, I was like, I know speculators. Speculators tend to kind of jump on the back of that worked last week, it'll work again. And sure enough, we saw some of that. Plus, again, guys, hate Liefeld all you want, but respect the fact that Liefeld has an army of fans. And whether or not I'm part of that or not doesn't matter. The reality of the situation is Liefeld has diehard fans. You don't want to play that game, that's fine. But if you're here because you're a speculator and you want speculation advice, you want to be the best speculator on a pure profit level you can, then let me tell you, get in on this Liefeld stuff. Get in on these Liefeld plays because you're going to make money. The guy's having a resurgence. He's getting shouted out in Deadpool from Ryan Reynolds during the movie. His pop culture status far exceeds that of the average comic book creator. And I'm telling you, the way Major X is selling, Marvel is going to do more business with Liefeld. I think Liefeld is going to have a resurgence. I would be on the lookout for some of those older Liefeld variants that get kind of slept on. And if you see a book like this, high ratio, small print, Rob Liefeld cover, and it's not completely terrible, keep an eye out for it because you're going to see situations like this one. Again, double ratio, pushing towards triple ratio.
Right. I think there's a combination there, Mr. Liefeld, fan club president. But I think all good points. But I think there's also I hate to say it, but there's the FOMO aspect where, same like the Marvel Tales, the Marvel Comics Presents, these variants have been selling hot. That Sienkiewicz one that came out before, which was way better, by the way. But
it's a follow the leader mentality. It's like, oh, this worked last month, so it'll work again. Yeah. But again, you got to make that. That's where why I made this play, because I looked at it and I said, I think that will happen. Yeah. And I think that the Liefeld contingent will have to have this book. They'll want this book. Yeah. And it's not going to be heavily printed because how many stores are ordering 50 copies of Marvel Comics Presents? Right.
Especially when they, like we've mentioned before, is a lot of these don't even reprint the best stories. But there's a combination there. I'm usually neutral with Liefeld. But it is on there for good reason.
Yeah, again, other than that Swordmaster book, it's the most profitable book on the list right now. If you would have made a play, if you would have bought this book at ratio and New Agents of Atlas #2 at ratio, and you bought those two and you bought a few copies of each, you'd be caking right now. Yep. You would have had a great week.
Yep, definitely. So we're going to roll into the final book on the Variant Buzz section, or books, and that is these Mondo-style reprints. It was the 4th print for #1, 3rd print for #2, and 2nd for #3, correct?
Oh, yeah. These are gorgeous. These were amazing. So I don't exactly know the origin of these. I know what I've seen on Twitter. When Ram V posted these, I don't know that they were covers yet. I don't know if that was the intention of them yet. He posted
I think they were listed as posters first.
Well, the first tweet that I saw, he was asking, like, would these make great posters? Yeah. So I don't know if they were created for covers that then became posters or created as posters that then became covers. I don't really know. But I know there was a time where I saw these on Twitter. They were posted, and Ram V said, hey, look at these. And from the second I saw them, I was like, oh, my God. You and I conversated about them immediately. Yeah. And not only, again, this book, I could go on and on about These Savage Shores. This is another, by the way, this is another candidate that could have been the long-term play of the week, because I believe in These Savage Shores from a speculation play. I think it's going to get adapted. I think it's going to be big. And I think that issue #1, no matter the print, is going to be popular. You look at the prints. You got first print, killer. It's a key book. Second print, you've got the book that spawned the whole Vault Vintage thing. Third print, you've got that awesome black and white cover. Now fourth print, you've got this Mondo style print set. I think the money in here is as a set. I think a lot of people will play the #1, but then they'll leave out #2 and #3. And I think that as a set, these are going to do very well. I think that these are probably going to be. These Savage Shores has been low printed no matter what the cover has been, And I think only the black and white didn't really meet market kind of demand. But I think these long term will see some serious numbers. When this book gets optioned, these sets are going to sell well above cover. I think these are buy and holds. So if you're not in on these Savage Shores, this is hard for me to sell you on. But if you've already been listening to us, if you've already been buying these Savage Shores, grab these, hold these, put these in the box. I think these are going to be money makers.
Right. And if you take speculation all the way out of the conversation and you just want a good horror comic book to read and you like vampires, you like period pieces, you like fantasy, definitely pick this up. If you don't pick up the single issues, make sure you pick up the trade when it comes out, because this is one of the best stories. You got Ram V writing, and then you got Sumit Kumar art. We always talk high of this book, and it's for good reason. So definitely pick it up to read it, if not for anything else.
You just made a good point. A lot of people can't get their hands on issues 1 through 3 because of the secondary market prices of these. Like you said, take the speculation out of it. This is your opportunity to grab this book and read it. Grab issues 1 through 3, read it. Issue 4, I think, is like a $10 book too. But issue 5 is coming soon, so be on the lookout for that. And by the way, I expect issue 5 to be a $10 book too, so you might want to keep an eye out for that.
Right. So with that, we have gone through the first appearances. We've gone through the reader buzz. We've gone through variant buzz. Our winner for the book, Sarah, she had to vacate the video for a little bit due to tornado warning. So definitely stay safe for everyone out there, especially in the Midwest who's dealing with the tornadoes.
Yes, definitely.
And people that are still coming into the chat, we're getting some subscribers on the channel right now, so that's always great news.
Yeah, make sure you guys, we appreciate you guys subscribing. Make sure you guys hit that notification so when we drop, that bell notification, so when we drop new content, you guys are getting alerted and aware of it.
Right. Yeah, before we go into the long-term play, Jack, coming up, you guys are getting ready to head out to Heroes Con. I will actually be on vacation in Tampa during that time. But, yeah, tell them about Heroes Con and everything you got going on.
Yeah, so real excited about Heroes Con. I've covered Heroes Con for CBSI the last 4 years. Heroes Con is a convention I cannot advocate enough. It's put on by Sheldon Drum, the owner of Heroes Aren't Hard to Find in Charlotte, North Carolina. It's a comic shop that's been around, I want to say, like 30 years. It's iconic. Matt Fraction has worked there. Jason Latour has worked there. It's Rico Renzi has worked there, the colorist from Spider-Gwen, one of the creators. It is a iconic comic book shop, and the owner is so old school, and he puts on this show, and this show is a comics-driven show. There's no media stuff, none of that San Diego Comic-Con junk. It is just a giant convention center in downtown Charlotte, North Carolina, filled with the best comic book creators in the market, whether it's old, new, doesn't matter. But we are bringing some heat this year, because this year I'm coming, and I'm not just coming alone. I know I'm trying to see what's up with Dan Piercy, but I know right now for sure we're going in with Mike Morello from Cover Tunes. We're going in with Andy Tomlin from the Indie Spotlight series, and we are going to collect content for you guys. I want you guys to feel like you're riding with us. So we're going to hit Artist Alley. We're going to hit the creators up, and we are going to bring you guys mini interviews, all kinds of different segments. You get cover art previews, all kinds of stuff. There's so many creators there from the indie there's a entire section within this convention called the Indie Island, and it's just filled with every indie creator. A lot of people we've talked about today. Vanessa Del Rey, Tula Latoy will be there. So I expect a lot of the content we've talked about, I might expect us to be able to get content directly from the source. I want to talk about these Faithless variants. I want to talk about these erotic variants with the women who have done the art themselves. And we are really excited for what we're going to bring you. That is, it's in the middle of June, Father's Day weekend. So we're going to collect all that content. It's going to take probably a while to get it all edited and distributed, but definitely, again, that's why I'm saying subscribe to Simpleman's Comics YouTube channel right now. If you think that we have a lot of content coming, wait till we hit convention season. And again, Heroes Con is going to be just the start, because as great as it's going to be, and I'm telling you, we're going to flood you. You're going to be overwhelmed with content from Heroes Con. But once we get through that, Brian and I are going to be at Baltimore Comic Con in the fall together. So I can't even imagine what's going to happen when that happens. So be on the lookout for our convention coverage. It's something that we hope to expand more. We want to bring you to the people who create the books. We also want to bring you onto the convention floor and let you feel what it's like. We have some CBSI friends who are set up as dealers. Shout out to Forgotten Five Comics, all those guys. So we want to bring you into their booth, show you what they're doing, let you kind of feel the dealer experience, let you feel the customer experience. So we have a lot of stuff planned. And also, let us know in the comments, what do you want to see? What do you want to see out of convention coverage? And we'll definitely try to cater that coverage to you. Also, I'm going to be going live all the time from be sure you're following us on social media, Instagram, right here on YouTube. I'm going to be going live all the time trying to bring you guys coverage. So I want you guys to feel like you are there with me. Last year's Heroes Con was the first time I took over CBSI's social media. It actually started. First time Brian and I talked on a one-on-one basis. So this is kind of our 1-year anniversary together as a dynamic duo. So Heroes Con has a special place in my heart for a lot of those reasons.
Yeah, bro hug.
Yeah.
So, yeah, all good stuff. So a lot of good content coming up. And I wish I could go, but I am taking my kids to my father's house, and we will be in Tampa, Florida that weekend. So
absolutely, family first. But we're gonna get Brian to Heroes Con eventually. That's my goal. I gotta get him to see this thing because as a guy who loves, if you love indie comics, that is the place to be. It's overwhelming. I sent these guys a list of the interview requests that I want to send out. That's where Brian's bringing this up, and Brian will tell you the list is huge.
So we got Matt Dungy saying he's going to be in Baltimore. So that's good news.
Hey, that's another thing. We want to let everybody out here, Simpleman's Comics family, Bolo Nation, man. If you're going to these conventions we're going to be at, holler at us, man. We want to see you. We want to take pictures. We want to post on social. So if you see us, I'm going to have a press badge hanging. It'll say AKA Mr. Bolo. If you see us there, holler at us, man. Let us know, man. You know, me, Andy, Mike, we want to see you. In Baltimore, me and Brian want to see you. We want to talk to you guys.
Yeah. Yeah, we might have to come up with some contests or something.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, we are going to go to your long-term play for this week, right?
Yes.
So, bring in the long-term play, and we have technical difficulties. So your long-term play for this week is your Kevin Eastman releases. I have the new ones that came out right now, but we're going to go into some more than just this, correct?
Right, yeah. See, I cheated a little bit. We got 2 releases on this list, but I can't highlight one without highlighting the other. Talking about convention coverage, another convention I've covered for CBSI several times. I missed it this year, but shout out to Ultimate Comics in Raleigh, North Carolina. I've covered North Carolina Comic Con for CBSI several years. And last year, I had the privilege of covering, and Kevin Eastman was there. And Kevin Eastman held a panel. There was a TMNT panel. It was Kevin Eastman, Ben Bishop, who's an amazing artist who does a lot of TMNT work, and Tom Waltz, who is the writer of the current TMNT series and the creative director of all of that. And they kind of kicked off telling everybody about Drawing Blood and what they were working on. And I was immediately hooked on the concept. It was originated as a Kickstarter. You're talking about a Kickstarter for a graphic novel that did $6,000 in fundraising. It had like 1,175 backers. There's 3 covers to the original graphic novel. The original graphic novel is a volume 1. It's called Spilled Ink. To give you a little backstory on the story, the story's about a character named Shane Bookman, I believe. I read the book like a year ago, so I'm a little bit fuzzy. I want to reread it in the individual floppies. But the character Shane Bookman, he and his brother created a comic called The Radically Ronin Ragdolls. Now, this story is so meta. It's, again, written by Kevin Eastman, and it clearly draws from Kevin's own experiences. And I've long felt like a great movie would be a biopic on Eastman and Laird. But like many things, reality can be a little boring. And this story takes a lot of the elements of Kevin Eastman's life and then kind of adds in fantasy and fiction and turns it on its head. So Shane Bookman creates these characters. He has this incredible success. His characters end up spawning a cartoon show. And then, like a lot of people who have success, he burns out. His success kind of gets to him a bit. He doesn't take care of his money. He becomes kind of a drunk and drug user. He's got a lot of hangers-on. His assistant is a guy who used to do voiceover on the show. But we talk about my speculation comes from, is this adaptable? This is an incredible TV show. I'm telling you, this would make an incredible show. And this is just volume 1. So this issue number 1 that released yesterday from Kevin Eastman Studios, it is a 1/4 of the graphic novel that released on Kickstarter. And again, Bolo on the graphic novel. I think the graphic novel is going to be a good spec play. The 3 covers, especially the covers that were like tiered exclusives for Kickstarter backers, I'd keep an eye out for those. But this series is going completely under the radar. The people who are paying attention to this are TMNT Kevin Eastman diehards, which again, I talk about IDW stuff, so I advocate to you guys on a weekly basis that these people are out there, and they are out there strong. Shout out to Paul Wiederhold from Tales from the Flip Side, CBSI. He's a guy who's such a TMNT diehard. I've used him as an example in my mind of these guys are out there. They have to have it. They want it all. And I was at a panel where I watched Kevin Eastman talking about this book and kind of bore TMNT fans. They were like, we don't want to hear this. We want to hear Ninja Turtles. And he completely flipped them, and they were into this story. Now, releasing this new comic book day, along with Drawing Blood #1 Spilled Ink, is actually the comic Radically Ronin Ragdolls. They actually dropped, again, talk about meta, the comic from within the comic, giving you kind of a first appearance of these characters. Not only do I think this could be a show, I think Radically Ronin Ragdolls could be an animated show. So I think Netflix could pick up this entire, or somebody of that nature, Amazon, or I know Apple is big in trying to get their phone going. Somebody could pick this up. And one of the struggles with TMNT long-term speculation is from a movie standpoint. TMNT is owned by Nickelodeon. So every movie that comes out is always going to be skewed towards that Nickelodeon audience. We are never, whether we like it or not, we are never going to get a version of TMNT like some of the series that maybe we grew up on. We're not going to get Casey Jones with a machine gun. It's just not going to happen. But there's a chance we'll get Radically Ronin Ragdolls, and we will get those types of stories given to us in a different way, but greatly reflecting the TMNT kind of lore and what made it popular. And I think that this is a great spec play. It's going completely under the radar. Again, from Kevin Eastman Studio, debut release from his own label. And it's something I think to keep an eye on because I don't think the print run is going to be huge. You got to be cautious with a new label because we don't know their printing practices. We hope they're not going to, do anything that tanks the book. But Kevin Eastman's a smart guy. He's been in the game a long time. Super nice guy if you meet him at conventions. But I'm really strongly believe in this book. I think that I put it as the long-term play because it hasn't gotten enough. I don't know if Brian showed it yet, but that the other person who deserves a lot of credit is Ben Bishop, the artist. Ben Bishop was a guy who was going to conventions. If you've ever been to conventions, there's always guys who are artists, guys and gals. They're artists who haven't made it yet, and they're tabling trying to show off their art. Well, that was Ben Bishop. He was kind of at conventions showing off his art, and he did a lot of TMNT stuff, and it caught Eastman's eye. And he ended up bringing him in, giving him work. Tom Waltz, who, again, runs the TMNT universe for IDW, they brought him in, put him to work. The book that stood out for me is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Ghostbusters 2, #4, the retailer incentive variant. A lot of people have seen this variant, love this variant. This is a killer. And as you saw it, it was one of those variants. You ever see a cover art and you love it? And the next question is, who did that art? And when I saw this one, that was kind of my reaction. I saw a big print hanging from a guy I never saw at a convention, and I said, wow, that's an awesome cover. Who did that art? And then I met Ben Bishop, young guy, very kind of aggressive, energetic in this industry. And I said, man, this guy is a guy to keep an eye out for. And he's so talented that he hasn't just rested on doing these. He went and teamed with Kevin Eastman to bring you Drawing Blood, artist on the series. He's doing all the interiors. He did covers as well as Eastman. Be on the lookout for some of those covers. Those Radically Ronin Ragdoll covers are amazing. They homaged some classic Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles covers. I just can't say enough again about what I think of the speculation play of this book. I think the fact that if you're going to neg me on this, you're going to say, yeah, people aren't talking about it. Again, that's why I like it as a long-term play. I think it's getting overlooked. You can still grab this book for cover price at most large retailers. I think it was largely overlooked. And another thing that forces things to be overlooked is where they are located in previews. If you're a speculator, you should be reading the Previews magazine every month. You should be checking it out because it kind of gives you an idea of what dealers are looking at. And I think that book, where its location and previews being such a small press book, it kind of got overlooked. So be on the lookout for this book. I think it is heavily adaptable. It's a good, dark, humorous, kind of action-packed story that I think if you love indie comics, I think you're going to love Drawing Blood. And it's a comic about comics. That's the great thing. So it kind of plays into the fanboy in all of us. And when I'm reading it, I imagine the character as Kevin Eastman. While I know he didn't do all this isn't the way his life was, that's the way it feels to me. And I think that adds kind of an element to this. So be on the lookout for that. I'm almost more bullish on the Radically Ronin Ragdolls one shot as a speculation play, but I think that again there's money in both. I think you're going to get a show, and I think you're going to get a cartoon at some point in some form or fashion. So be on the lookout for those. And let me know in the comments if you grab these books, if these are on your radar, or if they weren't on your radar, if anything I said helped put it on your radar.
And that is Jack's long-term play for the week. Now, normally we'd wrap this show up right here, right? But I do have a surprise, and we are going to do a giveaway again this week. Well, the winner will be announced next week, but we have from a copy of Excellence #1. This is the one-stop shop variant, so we will be giving this away. And just like last time, two rules. One, you need to be subscribed to Simpleman's Comics YouTube channel. And the next, after this video is live and is available on the replay, comment in the video what your favorite Image title. It could be from the beginning of Image to now, but what's your favorite Image title? And we'll say why, but you don't have to write a whole big synopsis.
Yeah, we just don't want to see you write Walking Dead. We want to know, tell why you like Walking Dead.
Yep.
What was it about it that gave it to you? And let me plug this book, man. First off, shout out to One Stop Shop. Shout out to Ben C. for putting this giveaway together. He literally texted us during the show to let us know, hey, do this giveaway. Shout out to Brian for getting the graphics up so quick.
Yeah.
Excellence is really buzzing as a reader buzz. It is a book that went kind of past me. I missed it altogether. Brian, I don't know if you remember. I don't know if it made the final edit, but Arun talked about this during our Boom interview.
Yeah.
He mentioned an Image title that he was popping on that he liked. And Arun is a speculator. He may be in the industry, but he's one of us.
Dude, he's a comic. He's a comic nut through and through. If you listen to his, it's like, do I want to cut his intro because he speaks so much? And I was like, I'm not cutting this, man, because he just really loves comics, and it was great.
Right. So he's a guy. His initial contact with us was he kind of reached out to me just to kind of thank us for kind of invigorating him in the hobby, which again is our goal. That's what we're trying to do. We're just trying to make you guys as excited to do this as we are. We love doing this. So that's kind of our goal. So we love that. And from that, we're able to build that relationship with Arun. He's a guy I think both Brian and I have really grown, really like and appreciate. And I hope he feels the same way. But this is something I paid attention to. Listening to a VP of marketing, a guy in the industry, who said, this is a book to pay attention to. It's a book I had my eye on because I noticed it was starting to sell out. But I really wasn't thinking like, oh, let me get in on this. And then when Arun mentioned it, now it's heavily on my radar. So this is super cool now. We're giving away a rare exclusive variant, one-stop shop, a great shop. I think they're in the Massachusetts area. I think they're in Ben Sealand up there. But a great small shop, but they put together really cool variants. We also did a die giveaway with their die #1 variant. So yeah, this is a great book. So comment. I think this is a sleeper, and this is going to be a rare printed book. And you get a chance free right here on the Bolo Live Show to grab this book. 2 weeks in a row, we're bringing you hot books.
Yes. And Andy King put in the chat that one of the guys from Excellence was at Motor City Con last weekend, and the book sold so well that they had to go run out to LCS and buy them out to sell at the con. But
that's amazing. That's what I like to hear. And again, that's the kind of information. That's why we love the comment section. We love the community, because that's the kind of information Andy just telling that story only continues to stoke my fire, saying, man, I need to keep putting copies of this book together. So shout out to Andy. Shout out to everyone in the comment section who adds a little bit of flavor to this show. And that's why we love you guys joining us live.
Yes. So just to recap, two things you got to do to win this book is, one, be subscribed to the Simpleman's Comics YouTube channel. And then after not during the live play, but after on the videos on the channel, comment on the actual video what your favorite image title is and why. So,
absolutely. And I also want to, while we're talking giveaways, we talked a lot about the Boom interview with Arun. Make sure you guys go and comment on that Boom video, because we are giving away Mighty Morphin Power Rangers 9, first appearance of Lord Draken. If you haven't heard us talk about this book and the importance of this book, I'm telling you, he is going to be the shredder of Ninja Turtles. Forget Rita Repulsa. Forget all those other kind of clown-type villains. Lord Draken is the main bad for the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers going forward. That first appearance is going to be huge. It's going to be a book to keep an eye on. He said that was going to be a big book going 2019 to 2020. He said you need to slab those right now in 9/8. This character is going to end up in movies. And I am giving away one of my personal copies just for commenting, just for checking out that video. So be sure to do that, because I don't know how we'll announce that. We may announce it right here on the Bolo Live Show, but we're going to figure out that giveaway. And be sure to do that, because that is a hot book. It's already selling for about $25, and it's massively undervalued, because it's a tough book to go find at this point. We're coming up on Power Rangers 40. It's tough to go find issue #9 sitting on shelves.
Yes. So with that, we have a great interview, another Indie Spotlight video, like we mentioned before in the show, coming next Tuesday at 9 p.m., which is going to be the interview with IDW's Kanto creators, Mr. Boer and Mr. Zucker, right?
Oh, yeah. Great guys. Can't advocate. That's another one you need to check out, because I reached out to these guys about doing this interview because straight up, when I looked at the solicitation, I was like, I'm in on this book. I like this book. One cover plus a 1 in 10 incentive. Looks like it's made for Pixar-style adaptation. Would be huge. And the story just draws you in when you read issue 1. So we reached out to these guys. Great interview. They were awesome. I love those guys. I walked away from that interview wanting to spec on that book even more, because all of the things I thought about that book from reading the solicitation, looking at the artwork confirmed. So again, I advocate that Indie Spotlight Series show is going to give you so many nuggets of speculation information. We're going to drop that show before that issue comes out. So you're going to get all of that information, and you're going to be able to walk into your LCS on release day, and you're going to know more about that than that dealer is going to know. So be on the lookout for that show. Again, I don't know the exact date when we're dropping that, but it's coming before release date. It's coming soon. I think it might even be coming.
Tuesday the 28th is when we're going to put it up.
And isn't that before FOC?
Yes.
Yes, guys, it's before FOC, so you can get orders in with your dealer. And I said orders in with your dealer. It sounds nefarious, but you can get orders in with your LCS, and make sure you get on top of this. And all you, I know we got retailers out there who are listening to us. Retailers, if you're listening to us, it's returnable, guys. If you order 10 issues, it's returnable. IDW's putting it out there for you. They want you to jump on board. So if you're a retailer, check out the show, and I promise you, you're going to want to jump on board ordering that book.
Yeah, like I was interested in the book before, but actually after talking to these guys, it made me even want the book. Like I actually ordered multiple copies after the interview.
Yeah, I think all three of us went and upped our order after that interview. So I think that's, again, and that's from a consumer perspective. We listen to these guys. That's not a pump and dump thing. Yeah. We listen to these guys and we're like, wow, yeah, I like this.
So, and I'll tell you,
Could we be wrong? I don't think so.
Yeah. I upped mine because after talking to them, it's almost an all ages book, but written to appeal to, adults as well. So with that being said, I bought some because I want to give them to my kids. I want to give some to my kids' family. Anything I can do to start, I hate to say indoctrinating, but getting the younger generation into comic books earlier without using, free comic book day, Halloween fest. But if I can do that through this book as well, I'm happy to help out.
Right, you're talking about a story that's going to connect with the youth. They're going to want to follow his journey, and then it's going to connect with adults because on a different level, because the overall theme of kind of love and devotion and what you would do for somebody that you care that much about. If you've ever been married, if you've ever had somebody that you love, if you've ever been in that situation like most of us have, then it's something that you can relate to. So that's going to connect with you in a way it won't connect with your kids because they haven't been in that situation. But they're still going to get a story that they are fully involved in. And again, that's how animated movies blow up. Animated movies blow up when the kid can go watch Finding Nemo and get one thing from it, and the adult can go watch Finding Nemo and get something completely different, and then you have a hit.
Yep. So yes, that's going to premiere Tuesday night, May 28th, this coming Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern. So,
really good interview. This coming Tuesday. I'm excited for that. And we'll be in the chat, guys. So Brian, myself, Andy, we'll be in the chat. We'll be there talking to you guys.
So that's going to wrap us up for tonight. Jack, do you have anything to say before we go?
No, I just want to reiterate. Make sure you guys like this video. We appreciate everybody that's here in the live chat. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel because, again, I tell you, I appreciate the feedback. You guys letting us know that you love the new content coming into Simpleman's Comics, but it's just the beginning. Brian and I are still in like the development phase of trying to figure out how we're going to get as much content to you guys as possible within the structure of our lives and schedule. And but again, thank you, but let us know. Let us know what you want to see because we're trying to build a community. We want to give you the content that you're not getting from other sources, and we want to give it to you the best quality that we possibly can. Check out those market news reports. We want to be dropping those way more often, way more frequently, letting you guys know what's going on in the industry. Make sure you're watching the Indie Spotlight Series show. And again, my favorite show to advocate, the Hot and Cold show, CBSI. Absolutely entertaining. Take a break from the seriousness. Get a little spec information for sure, but sit back and enjoy that one.
Yeah,
that's it. That one's there for your entertainment pleasure.
Yeah, especially FOMO the puppet. Yowie wowie. But
Yowie wow, yeah. Getting Bray Wyatt into the video. As you guys can see, I got my Bullet Club shirt. We're wrestling fans around here. I'm ready for Double or Nothing this weekend. Kenny Omega's knocking out Chris Jericho. But yeah, so check out that one. And if you're a wrestling fan, check out our video. We've got some WWE speculation talking, and we got a video just for that. So check that out.
Yeah. So before we go, I just want to say thanks again for everyone that joined us in the chat. We like seeing chat numbers are growing, and the conversation is great. It's starting to get to where I'm caught typing in the chat when Jack's finishing up looking at me to talk, and I'm like, oops. but really appreciate you guys. Do us a favor, hit that like button for us, that thumbs up button for us, and we will see you guys next Thursday.